think these folks love you? Oh, you think these folks love you. You think because the NBA put Black Lives Matter on the court that they actually care about black people, or the so-called black people. You know, that's a term that was thrust upon us. That term was forced upon us because you can't use a color to describe, identify, and define who a person is, but that's for another video. But do you all think these folks love you? Do you all think these folks love you? If you really want to know how people feel about black people here in America, the only place that black people exist, because the term was for indigenous folks that were here that looked like you and I, had the God gene. If you really want to know how they feel about us, all you got to do is bring up reparations. You don't have to get in some long, drawn-out conversation. All you got to do is bring up reparations, and I guarantee it will expose everybody in the room, because everybody loves black people as long as black folks don't have anything. Everybody loves black people as long as black folks don't have anything. Nobody is comfortable with black people being on top. Let's get that established. Nobody is comfortable with black people being on top. Have a discussion with some white people about race and tell them you are not black and see the response you get. You heard what Joe Biden said. Joe Biden said, if you don't vote for him, you ain't black. That's the most racist thing I've ever heard a politician say. He's literally going to try to take away your identity because he knows that white people gave you your identity. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Think about how insulting that is, but we gave him a pass.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community. I would love to see.
Take a look at my record, man. I extended the voting rights 25 years. I have a record that is second to none. The NAACP has endorsed me every time I've run. I mean, come on. Take a look at the record.
A lot of these Native Americans that you all see are not the original Native Americans. When they start handing out that money in that land, a lot of white people bought their tribal memberships. A lot of white people brought their tribal memberships. They bought it. A lot of white folks bought into the tribes. These tribes don't look the same. These tribes do not look the same. They bought their tribal membership. That's why they look so different now. That's why they look so different. That's why they went from bronze and copper to pale. The Native American tribes deny black people tribal memberships every year. Those Native Americans had slaves. Those Native Americans had slaves. Let's talk about it. Y'all don't want to talk about it. Y'all want to take their version of history. We were already over here. We were already over here on this continental U.S. I don't care what they tell you. These Native Americans that you all see are not the original Native Americans. They've been watered down. They've been diluted. I'm going to talk about it. These Native American tribes deny us tribal memberships every single year. They are very racist. They are very racist towards us. You know why? Because they don't want us to get that check every month. They don't want us to get that land. They don't want us to get that free housing. They don't want us to be able to go to school for free. I went to college with them. They go to school for free. They get a check every month. They get to go to school for free. They got their own land. They got their own house. What are we talking about? Reparations? You mean to tell me they get more reparations before we get anything? I'm telling you, it's a setup. Y'all think these white liberals and these Democrats love black people, and they don't. I'm telling you, everybody is comfortable with us being on the bottom. Nobody wants us to rise up. The NBA got Black Lives Matter everywhere, and what have they done for black people? Absolutely nothing. The NBA would be nothing without the players. Absolutely nothing. And not just white. Every group that comes to America has one common practice that they practice with black people, and that is economic exclusion. And I've already talked about racism being an economic issue. And every group that comes over here does the exact same thing to black people, which is they don't spend money with us. They economically exclude us. Every group does it. So it's not just white folks. It's not just Native Americans. It's the Mexicans. And is anybody else that comes over here to this country? The Africans. Is anybody else that come over to this country? They all do the exact same thing when it comes to us, and that is economically exclude us. Black people only exist in America. Just like racism only affects black people. If you don't believe me, look what people cry about when they holler racism. Look what we go through and look what other groups cry about when they holler somebody's being racist towards them. It doesn't even compare.
The Native Americans, whose land we took and whose homes we took and whose people we killed in the millions.
No, they got paid. They got paid.
We'll have to,
they have land.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
They have land. They have reservations, and they also have economic.
Oh, yeah. And would you like to talk to me about reservations and what a wonderful payment that is? All the black people in this country be willing to take a reservation.
That's what the Nation of Islam was asking for.
Well, is that a smart thing to do? I don't think it was.
It depends on who's driving that car. I've been to a reservation. I've been to a reservation in Montana.
Did you think it was a really comfortable place to be?
You don't have to get deep. You don't have to get deep. Just bring up reparations, and it's going to expose every liberal, every Democrat, every ally. Everybody will be exposed when it comes to black people having their own. And when I say own, I mean our own flag, our own identity, our own land, our own everything. Nobody is with it. Jane Elliot said the Native Americans need to get reparations first. And then Joe Biden says us getting reparations can only happen if Native Americans are included. Both of them fail to mention that Native Americans already get reparations. What they should say is they need to get more reparations before you all get any reparations. I keep telling you all, it's a setup. It's all a setup. Nobody wants you empowered. They don't want you empowered.
The way that they were living, I wouldn't live like that.
Oh,
but the whole it can't get any worse for black people. So a black person is not going to say, I don't want to have a chance to create my own civilization and my own society. Everybody wants that chance. I'm not going to judge, or I'm not going to project onto black people in America, well, this is what happened to the natives. You don't want that. And I'm damn sure not going to say, well, we need to pay the natives. Natives already got paid. They already made their deals. They already signed treaties. They've already done what they did. And if they squander their opportunity, that's on that group. Now it's time for this group to get its opportunity and to get its reparation.
Jane Elliot knows black history, and she still had the audacity to say it. Jane Elliot knows Native American history, and she still had the audacity to say it. You know why? Because none of these people want black people empowered.
The Native Americans, whose land we took and whose homes we took and whose people we killed in the millions.
No, they got paid. They got paid.
We'll have to,
they have land.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
They have land. They have reservations, and they also have economic.
Oh, yeah. And would you like to talk to me about reservations and what a wonderful payment that is?
You need to watch out for Jane Elliot. And I like Jane Elliot as far as some of the things she says. Y'all got to watch out for this. Jane Elliot, she talks about white supremacy, and she goes in on the white supremacists. No, she'll talk good for a minute. But recently I saw something with Jane Elliot. A brother was talking about reparations, and Jane Elliot popped off talking about, yeah, if we talk about reparations, well, Native Americans are going to have to get them first. See, we got to watch people like that. Did y'all see that? See, y'all are quick to invite her to the barbecue.
All the black people in this country be willing to take a reservation.
That's what the Nation of Islam was asking for.
Well, is that a smart thing to do? I don't think it was.
It depends on who's driving that car. I've been to a reservation. I've been to a reservation in Montana.
Did you think it was a really comfortable place to be?
The way that they were living, I wouldn't live like that.
Oh,
but the whole it can't get any worse for black people. So a black person is not going to say, I don't want to have a chance to create my own civilization and my own society. Everybody wants that chance. I'm not going to judge, or I'm not going to project onto black people in America, well, this is what happened to the natives. You don't want that. And I'm damn sure not gonna say, well, we need to pay the natives. Natives already got paid. They already made their deals. They already signed treaties. They've already done what they did. And if they squander their opportunity, that's on that group. Now it's time for this group to get its opportunity and to get its reparations.
This is why I told us to unplug from the system. This is why I said we should boycott the entire system, because nobody's going to play right when it comes to us. They don't want us to be empowered. And I need you all to get this through your head. When it comes to true empowerment for us, they will not do it. They will say no. Jane Elliot, the one who was a champion for us.
Yes, I'm going to have to play that on Sunday's show. Jane Elliot was talking about if we get reparations, the Native Americans going to have to get it first. So you got to watch that. See, they'll talk about black issues and talk against white supremacy as long as we're not getting any tangibles. Okay? The minute we start talking about tangibles, all your white liberals and all your allies, they get to sounding like the alt-right, dude. You dig? They start sounding like the alt-right. Yeah, did y'all see that? Some of y'all saw it. So we got to stop inviting everybody to the damn barbecue.
Jane Elliot, the one we love so much, said no. Joe Biden, the one we love so much, said no. Y'all don't think it's a game, and what you all keep doing is making excuses for them. Well, they can't agree to reparations because it's just not feasible. It's going to cost too much. Everybody else got reparations and nobody had a problem with it. Everybody else figured it out in their budget to hand out reparations all across the world. Everybody. But it's going to be too much money. Everybody around the world found a way to make sure reparations happen for a bunch of people. Y'all keep playing with these people, and I keep telling you all, these people are never going to play fair. The goal is for you to be in bondage. You all don't realize that? The goal is for you to be in bondage. They want us dependent on the system. They don't want us owning our own land, having our own schools, having our own skyscrapers. They don't want us having our own. They don't want us having our own at all, because nobody is comfortable with black people being on top. Nobody. Absolutely nobody. So get that fantasy and illusion out of your minds. This is why I said boycott the system and watch it fall. They need us. Watch it fall. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X been telling you about these liberals. We talking about 60-some years ago. Talking about these white liberals and Democrats. Oh, almost 70 years ago, talking about these white liberals and Democrats, and they're still doing the same thing, and you all think it's a game. These people don't want you empowered. Nobody is comfortable with you being empowered. Get that through your head. You let the media tell you that these are good people. You let the media tell you who's sane and who's crazy. The media does not want you to be empowered. Anytime someone black starts talking about black folks having their own, they always get labeled crazy. It's a setup, and you all can't see it. And they put this whole curtain of COVID-19 to cover up all these issues, and it's BS. The country is an economic ruin, and they're talking about masks. It's a setup. Do y'all understand it's a setup? It's a game. They don't want you to see the truth.
Because of the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution is over with. Now it's time to move again. If you have agriculture as your business, you get tax breaks. Tesla, the original Tesla, says the earth is a giant generator. God has given us freedom. You can feed your family and survive off of earth, wind, fire, and water through proper engineering. But the education and the schools and these textbooks that have been given to you, have you ever got a textbook that said, okay, you can buy 100 acres for $100,000 in middle America, you can farm and feed your family? Has there ever been a class on that? Oh, well guess what? There's a reason why there's a, would you agree that there's a reason why there's ever been a class on that?
But don't take my word for it. Just challenge your so-called liberal and Democrat friends. Just challenge them and say, how do you feel about me not calling myself black? Then I want you to ask them how they feel about you getting reparations. And I guarantee they're going to expose themselves. Trust me, they are going to be against both. Because if you're black, you can be controlled. If you are who God said you were, if you are God in the flesh, you can't be controlled. It's just that simple. Wait for it. Free blast. Get money. Go.